Welcome to StarWatch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
Everything you are about to hear is not an official confirmation, but a carefully observed narrative built from public appearances, fan discussions, and moments that have quietly captured global attention. In the world surrounding Wang Yibo, there are always layers that the public sees on the surface, and then there are layers that exist just behind the frame of the camera, where presence, loyalty, and protection become part of the story itself. One of the most discussed figures in this hidden layer is Lele, a man who is often seen standing just a step away from the spotlight, yet never truly in it. For many casual viewers, he appears to be part of the background team, just another assistant in a highly structured entertainment system. But for those who have followed closely over the years, his role has become something far more intriguing, almost symbolic. Some reports and fan interpretations suggest that Lele is not simply a regular staff member under Yuehua Entertainment, but rather a long-standing protective figure whose presence predates many of the public milestones in Wang Yibo's rise. What makes this even more fascinating is not just the claim itself, but the consistency of his presence in the most high-pressure environments. From airports filled with crowds to international fashion events where attention is fragmented across hundreds of eyes. And yet, in every frame, his focus remains singular. It is always directed towards one point, one movement, one person moving through the chaos of fame. This is where the narrative begins to shift from simple observation into something more emotionally charged. Because in a world where celebrity is often managed through contracts, branding, and structured appearances, the idea of a constant human presence that operates almost instinctively as protection feels different. It feels personal. It feels continuous. And it raises a quiet question that fans and observers alike cannot easily ignore. What does loyalty look like when it is not written in contracts, but instead expressed through years of silent vigilance? To understand why this story has resonated so strongly online, one has to step back from the glamour of red carpets and fashion shows and instead focus on the small, almost invisible details that repeat themselves across time. At various public events, whether in Paris, Beijing, or behind-the-scenes filming environments, Lele and another assistant, often referred to as Yan Yan, have been seen maintaining positions that are less about presentation and more about anticipation. Their movements are subtle but intentional. A slight shift in stance when crowds move closer. A hand raised, not in reaction, but in preparation. An umbrella positioned not for comfort, but for immediate protection against changing conditions. These are not dramatic actions in isolation, but when viewed collectively over time, they form a pattern that fans have poetically nicknamed the Yakult Duo, a term that reflects both familiarity and affection within the community. According to long-time observers, this duo rarely engages with the spectacle itself. While others are focused on performances, clothing, or media presence, their attention remains anchored elsewhere. This has led to a widely circulated interpretation that their role is not to participate in the environment, but to stabilize it. In this interpretation, the world of entertainment becomes less about what is seen on stage and more about what is controlled just outside of it. What makes this narrative particularly compelling is the contrast it creates when placed against the broader structure of the entertainment industry. On one side stands the emotional, almost instinctive layer of protection, represented by individuals like Lele. On the other side stands the formal machinery of management, contracts, and corporate strategy associated with Yuehua Entertainment. In 2026, discussions surrounding contract renewals, equity incentives, and long-term business alignment brought renewed attention to how deeply intertwined an artist's career is with corporate decision-making. Reports indicated that financial structures, including restricted share allocations and extended contractual agreements, were designed to ensure continuity between the artist's personal brand and the company's strategic direction. In this framework, everything is measured, forecasted, and structured. Growth is planned, risks are calculated, and relationships are formalized through legal language. Yet, parallel to this highly organized system exists another layer that cannot be quantified in the same way. It is the layer of proximity, familiarity, and unspoken understanding developed through years of daily presence. This is where individuals like Lele and Yan become significant not as corporate assets, but as emotional constants in an otherwise constantly shifting environment. The fascination from fans does not come solely from curiosity, but from recognition. Many people watching these moments interpret them through a human lens rather than a professional one. They see not just protection, but consistency, not just duty, but familiarity. Over time, this has created a dual perception of celebrity life, one that is managed on paper and another that is lived in motion. While management structures may determine schedules, projects, and public appearances, it is often these quiet, recurring human interactions that define how safe and stable that journey feels on a daily level. In certain fan discussions, there is even a belief that such long-term proximity naturally builds a level of trust that goes beyond professional obligation. Whether or not this is formally accurate is secondary to the emotional truth it represents within the fandom space. There is also a broader reflection embedded within this narrative, one that extends beyond a single artist or company. In modern entertainment industries across the world, there is often a visible contrast between institutional power and individual human connection. Contracts can secure careers, open opportunities, and define financial trajectories, but they cannot fully replicate the instinctive awareness that develops between people who share years of constant proximity under pressure. In high-intensity environments such as global tours, film sets, and public appearances, this kind of awareness becomes almost invisible yet essential. It is not spoken about in press releases, nor highlighted in official announcements, but it often shapes the lived experience of those at the center of attention. Over time, this dual structure creates an interesting balance. The corporate side ensures stability, resources, and global reach, while the human side ensures immediacy, responsiveness, and emotional grounding. One operates through systems, the other through presence. And in the case of Wang Yibo, both layers appear to coexist in a way that reflects the complexity of modern stardom. It is not a question of which side is more important, but rather how both interact to support a career that exists under constant observation and pressure. At its core, this story is not simply about a bodyguard, nor is it solely about a company structure or fan interpretation. It is about the invisible architecture that surrounds public figures, the silent systems of care and control that operate behind every public appearance. It is about how humans, institutions, and time itself interact to create a sense of continuity in a world that is otherwise constantly shifting. And perhaps most importantly, it is about how audiences, even from a distance, instinctively recognize the difference between what is performed and what is genuinely lived. Thank you for watching StarWatch Now. If you found this story insightful, consider subscribing for more carefully crafted narratives exploring the hidden layers behind global entertainment. Every like, every comment, and every share helps us continue uncovering the unseen dynamics behind the world's most talked-about figures. We are grateful for your support and presence here with us today. Stay with StarWatch Now for more stories that go beyond the surface and into the deeper patterns shaping modern fame.